नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, खूप सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांच्या डिमांड नंतर आपण आपली इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच इंग्लिशमध्ये सुरू करत आहोत. ही इंग्लिशमधील बॅच मी जवळपास सर्वच्या सर्व लक्ष्मीकांत कव्हर करण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. ही इंग्लिश मीडियममधल्या बॅचची तुम्हाला एक नोट्ससुद्धा मिळेल आणि यासोबतच तुम्हाला या बॅचचे सर्वच्या सर्व व्हिडिओज, आपलं जे ज्ञानदीप अकॅडमीचा लाल कलरचा लोगो असणारा ॲप आहे, या लाल कलरचा लोगो असणाऱ्या ॲपवर तुम्हाला सर्वच्या सर्व बॅच मिळेल. मग या बॅचला ॲक्सेस किती असेल, व्हिडिओज केव्हा अपलोड केले जातील, तुम्ही ते व्हिडिओज किती दिवस पाहू शकता, या सर्व बाबतीतली सर्वच्या सर्व सूचना त्या ॲपवरच त्या ठिकाणी सूचना या सदरामध्ये तुम्हाला दिलेली आहे. तर मी तुम्हाला सर्वांना सुचवेल, ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांना इंग्लिश मीडियममधनं इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच हवी होती, तुम्ही ही बॅच नक्की जॉईन करा. तुमच्या मित्रांसोबत सुद्धा शेअर करा. यामध्ये मी तुम्हाला प्रत्येक कन्सेप्ट सांगण्याचा प्रयत्न तर केला आहेच, मात्र या कन्सेप्टच्या सोबतच त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जो महत्त्वाचा कंटेंट आहे आणि त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जे महत्त्वाचा फॅक्च्युअल डेटा आहे, जो तुमच्या परीक्षेसाठी अत्यंत उपयुक्त असतो, हा सर्वच्या सर्व डेटा सुद्धा मी त्या ठिकाणी देण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. सो तुम्हाला सर्वांना विनंती की बॅच शेअर करा आणि जॉईन करा. थँक्यू. हॅलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम यू ऑल. नाउ टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट aspect, which is parliamentary committees. Now, in last few lectures, we have seen how parliamentary control has been ineffective. Why? Because the large size, amateur nature, lack of expertise, lack of time, more and more expenses. So it is more easier to discuss certain issues, points, laws, bills, and draft in a smaller group than larger 500 people or 250 people. That's why committees forms one of the basic ingredient of this entire parliamentary system. So today here our focus shall be to discuss on parliamentary committees. When I will teach you President, Prime Minister, in that topic, that is after teaching you executive, we will discuss about cabinet committees. So here our focus is to discuss about parliamentary committees. So let's go for it. See, committees of the parliament. First thing, there could be a question, does Indian constitution mention names of committees? So certain committees have been mentioned in the Indian constitution. Constitution mentions about various committees. Parliamentary committees are there. What are the few important characters of parliamentary committees? First, the parliamentary committees, members of parliamentary committees and parliamentary committees themselves are elected by the house, or certain members are nominated by presiding officers like speaker in Lok Sabha or chairman in Rajya Sabha. It works under the direction and control of presiding officer. For that particular house, there could be joint parliamentary committees also. We'll be discussing a whole set of things about joint parliamentary committees in detailed separate chapter. These committees, they report to the house. They have a specific secretariat composed of IAS officers, civil service officers, and entire clerical staff to help them in investigation of a certain matters. So they have separate secretariat which is provided by the house, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Various types of committees are there. First, it is consultative committee. Now, consultative committees have members from parliament, but these are not parliamentary committees. They are not called as parliamentary committees, as these consultative committees have been formed to consult with outside department, outside organization, outside members on certain specific technical scientific matter. That's why these consultative committees are not called as parliamentary committees. They are attached to various ministries and department having specific subject matters in their hand. Basically, parliamentary committees are of two types. One is standing committee, second is ad hoc committee. What is standing committee? The committees which are permanent, which work on continual basis, which are instituted every year or after a periodic time interval, are called as standing committees, whereas ad hoc committees are temporary. Now here, one small difference which I want to tell you, which you should keep in mind before going for any lengthy definition. Standing committees are permanent continual basis committees. Ad hoc committees are temporary committees formed to solve an issue beforehand, and once the issue is solved, the ad hoc committees are abolished. Standing committees, permanent committees, they work on continual basis. Ad hoc committees, they are temporary committees. These ad hoc committees could be again of two types. One, it is inquiry committee. Second, it is advisory committee. Inquiry committee, They are constituted from time to time for a specific subject, for investigation and inquiry into a specific subject. Whereas advisory committee, it is a select committee or joint committee on various bills where the members of parliament and other members advise you in that particular matter. Now we will try to understand three important parliamentary committees. One is Public Accounts Committee, second is Estimates Committee, and third one is Committee on Public Undertaking. Here we are not going into the analysis of these committees. First, we will completely understand their functioning, their factual data, and in next few lectures, once other topics are covered, then we will go for the analysis of these committees also. Now first, Public Accounts Committee, which is also famous as PAC. It was first set up in 1921. It was recommended by Montfort Reforms. It was recommended by Montfort Reform, which is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms. And this reforms was the basis for Government of India Act of 1919. Earlier, this committee has 22 members, that is 15 members from Lok Sabha, 7 members from Rajya Sabha. Right now, they have almost 31 members, that is 20 members from Lok Sabha plus 11 members from Rajya Sabha. Now you have to keep in mind these numbers keep on changing. So before hand of your examination, you have to go for current event related data where you could get the exact number of these committees. Public Account Committee. Now members of Public Account Committee are elected by Parliament every year. Why word Parliament? Because it has members from Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Here members of Public Account Committee are elected by Parliament every year. It is based on proportional representation. It means the representation given to a political party in Public Account Committee will be based on their strength in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Representation will be given in proportion to their strength in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It is based on single transferable vote. Term of the members will be 1 year and these members are eligible for reappointment. This is important. These members are eligible for reappointment. Now, certain important points. A minister cannot be the member of Public Account Committee. Chairman of Public Account Committee is appointed by the Speaker. Till 1966-67, chairman used to be from ruling political party. From 1967, this convention was changed and the chairmanship of Public Account Committee was given to opposition party. It is not based on rule, it is based on parliamentary convention. Their function, the most important function is to examine the annual audit reports of the CAG which are laid before the Parliament by the President. 3 audit reports are there. First is audit report on appropriation, audit report on finance account. Appropriation means expenditure, finance account means income, and audit report on public undertaking. They are assisted by CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General. CAG is constituted under Article 148 of the Indian Constitution. We are just studying the factual part. We are not going into analysis, which is an altogether different perspective, which we will study later on. Second important committee is Estimates Committee. Its origin lies in the year 1921. In 1921, this Estimate Committee was called as Standing Financial Committee. Remember this earlier name, it was called as Standing Financial Committee. In 1950, First Estimate Committee of Independent India was formulated by the then First Estimate Committee by the then Finance Minister John Mathai. Originally, 25 members was there. In 1956, this strength was increased to 30 members and all these members from Lok Sabha only. Remember, in PAC, 20 members were from Lok Sabha and 11 members were from Rajya Sabha, but in Estimates Committee, all 30 members belong to Lok Sabha only. Estimates Committee is constituted every year. Members are elected among Lok Sabha members. It is based on proportional representation and single transferable vote system. Term of the members is 1 year. A minister cannot be member of the committee. Chairman is appointed by Speaker and chairman is preferably from ruling party. These points are important. Chairman of Estimate Committee is appointed by Speaker and chairman preferably belongs to ruling political party. Function: to examine the estimates included in the budget. Estimate provisional estimate, proposed estimate, and suggest economies in public expenditure. This point is asked many times in the examination. So I will star mark this point. Remember, the most important function of estimate committee is to examine the estimates included in the budget and suggest economies in public expenditure. To report economies means to report saving and improvement in the organization. To suggest alternative policies is also one of the important function of estimates committee. To suggest the forms, it means the organized forms in which the estimates are to be presented to the parliament. And finally, to examine whether after the money is well laid out within the limits or not. It means to check propriety of the money spent or not. Third important committee is Committee on Public Undertaking. It was first created in the year 1964. It was recommended by Krishna Menon Committee. Originally, Committee on Public Undertaking had 15 members, 10 from Lok Sabha, 5 from Rajya Sabha. In 1974, strength was increased to 22 members, 15 from Lok Sabha, 7 from Rajya Sabha. The members of Committee on Public Undertaking are elected by Parliament for 1 year term. They are eligible for reappointment. It is based on proportional representation and single transferable vote system. A minister cannot be member of Public Account Committee. Committee on Public Undertaking. Chairman of the committee is appointed by Speaker and he is preferably from Lok Sabha members. It is not compulsion whether he should be from ruling party or opposition party, but the only compulsion is the chairman of Committee on Public Undertaking should be from Lok Sabha only. Function: to examine reports of public undertakings, that is government institutions, to report of CAG on public undertakings, to check whether public undertaking follow sound business principles and product commercial practices or not. Other functions: the committee do not go into, means what are the restricted areas for committee? Do not go into government policy. This is important part where questions are being asked. COPU, that is Committee on Public Undertaking, do not go into government policy. It do not go into day-to-day administration of the government. And matters which are under other machinery is in place will not be studied or will not be checked by Committee on Public Undertaking. Now, last and the most important part, this is a revision of all kinds of the bills, about their presentation, about their voting, and about how they are being passed. Now see, various bills and its procedure. Listen this point very carefully. I personally feel you could definitely get a question on this part. First, these are 5 types of bills, and finally here I talked about annual financial statement, which is called as budget. Now what are 5 types of bills? First, it is Constitutional Amendment Bill, which comes under Article 368. Second, Money Bill, Article 110. Ordinary Bill, Financial Bill 141, which comes under Article 117, first provision. Financial Bill 2, 117, third provision. And Annual Financial Statement, that is budget, under Article 112. Now, let's think about Constitutional Amendment Bill. See, is there previous permission of President needed? This is first part, previous permission of President. Actually, that is missing. Previous permission of President. Now, for Constitutional Amendment Bill, previous permission of President is not needed. For Money Bill, it is needed. Ordinary Bill, not needed. Financial Bill 1, needed. Financial Bill 2, needed. But previous permission of President is not needed for introduction. It is needed for that bill should be considered by both the houses. I repeat this once again. Previous permission of President is needed for Financial Bill 2. But for which case? Not for introduction, but for that bill to be considered by both the houses, previous consent of the President is needed. And Annual Financial Statement, which is a kind of money bill, can be put in the Parliament only with previous permission of the President. Where it can be introduced? Constitutional Bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Money Bill in Lok Sabha only. Ordinary Bill, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Financial Bill 1, Lok Sabha only. Financial Bill 2, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And Annual Financial Statement, which is a kind of money bill, can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. Then, what is the majority required? Constitutional Amendment Bill, as per the bill, here three kinds of majority are expected under Article 368. Some of the Constitutional Amendment Bill can be passed with simple majority of Parliament. Some of the bill can be passed with special majority of the Parliament. And third kinds of the Constitutional Amendment Bill, which involves federal provision, must be passed by special majority of the Parliament along with half of the states saying yes by simple majority. Money bill, it is as per the bill. Ordinary bill, as per the bill. Then financial bill 1, same as per bill, as for all these things. All these things, it is based on which kind of bill is presented, majority is decided. Assent of the President. Now, for Constitutional Amendment Bill, President has to say yes to the bill. This provision is added by 24th Amendment Act 1971. Now, this point must be there in your mind in a very clear-cut fashion. Listen very carefully. Constitutional Amendment Bill must be assented by President based on 24th Amendment Act of 1971. Money Bill, it is given assent by the President. Why? Because it is presented in the Parliament based on his previous sanction. Ordinary Bill, Finance Bill 2 and Annual Financial Statement, for all these things, permission is given under Article 111. Then what about joint sitting? This is given over here. See, Constitutional Amendment Bill, it must be accepted separately by both the houses. There is no provision for joint sitting for Constitutional Amendment Bill. I repeat once again, for Constitutional Amendment Bill, there is no provision for joint sitting. Money Bill, it requires acceptance of Lok Sabha only. In case of Money Bill, only Lok Sabha has the right to vote. Rajya Sabha do not have right to vote on Money Bill. Ordinary Bill, it must be accepted by both the houses or there is provision for joint sitting under Article 108. Regarding joint sitting, two important provisions. First, joint sitting is summoned by President of India and joint sitting is chaired by Speaker of the Lok Sabha. If Speaker is not there, Deputy Speaker will be there. If Deputy Speaker is not there, Deputy Chairman will be there. And if Deputy Chairman is also not there, any member elected by or appointed by Parliament will act as a Chairman of the joint sitting. Vice President, that is Chairman of Rajya Sabha, do not have right to preside joint sitting. Why? Because Vice President is not a member of Parliament. Finance Bill 1, it must be accepted by both the houses or there is provision for joint sitting under Article 108. Same for Finance Bill 2 also. Annual Financial Statement, it is a kind of money bill. So there is voting in Lok Sabha. There is no provision for joint sitting for Annual Financial Statement. Clear? So that's all from my side. This was very important lecture. We'll keep meeting with next interesting lectures. Till then, keep watching and keep sharing with your friends. Thank you. Have a good day.